The Turks ruled Greece for centuries, but they gave this area, the Marni, a wide berth. I'm not taking my eyes off this infernal road. I can't stand heights. Down there, somewhere at the bottom, is one of the most important places in Greek mythology. It's the entrance to Hades, the gateway to hell. I'm travelling with Rupert Smith, a classical scholar and one of those Englishmen who relish morsels of Greek history like a cormorant with a shoal of sprats. I'm pretty glad this is a paved road, I must say, because I'm not a great lover of hairy roads like this, but
it's a good view from this side of the car, I can tell you.
Oh, I bet, sorry, but I'm enjoying being the other side.
Yeah.
God, that is so special.
It's pretty good, isn't it? So this is somewhere not many tourists get to. It's a village, it's called Mundanistica.
Mundanistica.
The people of Mani mainly fought either between villages, the various clan chieftains fighting each other, or within villages, hence each house having its own tower.
So, like, these are two neighbours.
Yeah.
They would be shooting at each other.
They could be, if they were having a feud, a vendetta. The towers, pretty as they may be, are an indication of what a vicious and violent place this was to live. You know, they were permanently fighting each other for this barren land. You can see over here,
you just
tiny
think,
little terraces.
What's it worth fighting? Why is it worth fighting for?
Because that was all they had. You know, they didn't have any lush meadows, and they just had these hillsides, which they had to chop up into tiny terraces to, you know, just to support themselves. And that's how life went on. They'd stop occasionally. They would have a truce or a treva, using the Italian word for some reason, when they needed to go and bring in the harvest, or if there was a funeral or a baptism or a marriage. You know, life had to go on in that respect. They had to feed themselves and had to marry each other and what have you. In fact, there was one extraordinary case where two families were fighting. They were actually from different villages. There was one family from the north fighting another in the south, shooting each other across a very narrow area. And one of the attackers saw a woman who was going back and forth, or young woman, going back and forth between the in and out of the tower where the defenders were, and he thought, cool, I like her. And he said, right, stop, I want to have a truce, I want to marry that girl. And...
Don't believe it.
They stopped, they called the priest, and they were married right there, bang, in the middle of the battle. And then they went back to shooting each other.
I've never been to a place like it. It's like a ghost village. Just looking into one of these houses. Will it be a kitchen? I don't know. But there are all the clues. Mostly to the drudgery that was the women's work. Harvesting the grains, crushing the olives, making the bread. The men would be keeping lookout and having the odd pot shot from tower to tower. Life, like the landscape, was as hard as it gets. Why didn't they pack up and go to Messalongi or go to Athens or something?
I think they would say freedom was the answer. They could live the way they wanted to live, not bothered by whoever was in charge, mainly the Ottomans. When the Greek War of Independence came along, they had their own rallying cry separate from the rest of Greece. The rest of Greece had a rallying cry, freedom or death, whereas the people of Mani, because they felt they were already free, talked about victory or death. So, you know, that was their view. They were free, the rest of Greece was in chains.
It's sort of funny, it doesn't look like it, but in a way I was sort of thinking of Cornwall now, really, because in a way Cornwall's like a peninsula off the end of the rest of Britain. Yeah. And there's a certain sense of independence and individuality about it.
Extremely, topographically extremely similar. If you carpeted this in sort of green and flowers, you would have Cornwall. Yep.
Shall Trelawney live? Shall Trelawney die? There's 40,000 Cornishmen will know the reason why.
Victory or death.
Victory or death. We spent a long time up in that almost deserted village, and we met one of the only inhabitants who gave us some superb wild mountain oregano to take home with us. They say the generosity of the Maniots is second to none. I've often found that the harder the landscape, the more generous the people are. I honestly had no idea this beautiful place was here, but for me, it cried out like a siren from the Odyssey. Come to me, I've got fresh sardines waiting for you. This is how I think of Greece. Look at those little darlings straight from the grill. A carafe of cold retsina and the inevitable Greek salad, which I eat every day with great delight. I was looking at what we call a call sheet, which is what you have every day to see what's happening. It says, travel through the Marni with Rupert, talking about the village with the towers in it, which was really interesting. But then he just said, actually, I had some very nice sardines at this place called Quail Bay. Is it called Quail Bay?
Port of the Quails, yeah.
And as soon as I heard fresh sardines, I thought, history's one thing, fresh sardines is something totally different.